Hi, thanks for the time for the past few days since I've experienced so many interesting opportunities to look at the city, my city, and different kinds of inspirations and bombardment as well, as I may say. To me, I have these impressions in mind now that for you, theatre is everywhere and performance can start anytime. How far do you agree with my observation?
Yeah, I mean, bombardment is definitely a good description to this city. It does, the density not only of population but also of signs, of tokens, of simultaneities is very present, and so it is maybe easier even than in other places to stop for a second, withdraw from the casualities of everyday necessities and speeds, and to sort of say, okay, let's look at this frame. I mean, we had this morning special moments where we would just be staring at a bus stop, and a bus would come by and suddenly look like a curtain, and behind that curtain, in a way, the focus that everybody has probably on trying to save time, trying to be efficient, suddenly becomes a staged situation.
So to you, theatre can be anywhere, right?
I'm sure there would be a place somewhere where I would say no to this, because I never have such an overall. I haven't been everywhere, so I can't know if it is. It might be, but today we found spots where I think it's worth to look at on a closer look, and in the second layer, actually, it's also just a good excuse to go somewhere and stand next to somebody instead of looking like we are looking at each other. Just sort of sit next to each other and look into one direction, and then you start actually discussing as much about the space that is there. You are also discussing about who is here observing it, and this confusion is as much interesting for a performance point of departure, I think, as it is for a conversation trigger.
I especially like the way you set up the platform for us to look at things like what we have done this morning. And you create this situation, you create this platform for us, and let things happen by itself, and in an organic way, in a natural way. And for me, I particularly find impressive where participation seems to be the most important element in Rimini Protokoll's work, to the extent that participation seems to be the medium itself. How would you comment on this?
Yeah, I mean, there was a time when people went to theatre to sit and look at things, admire things from a dark situation where you could have a perfect view onto the geniuses on a stage somewhere, and then this whole process of identification would happen sort of through identifying with this one actor or this one person. That is a bit of a changed situation. It's not our, because it doesn't, I guess theatre is good in redoing things that happen in everyday life, and this situation of non-participation has become very artificial nowadays. Cinemas struggle to survive. TV, I don't have any friends that watch TV anymore. I don't believe the medium will soon exist anymore. This very video that we're shooting here is probably going to be watched by people that are in the same moment opening other windows next to the one we are speaking in, and they're probably checking their emails as they're listening to what we're saying now. And so I still believe in the moment of a focused attention for a moment, because that is a privilege that theatre does in a very different way to the simultaneous. simultaneous situation of a computer user. But it is, but to have the full focus of attention of somebody, that is a different focus than this way that people sort of stumble through video installations in museums, where you sort of always miss the beginning and leave before the end has come, and then see it loop at some point. This talent, I guess, to work with time is still at the essence of what theater always was. It just needs to be reframed. Participation can be one of many possible structures to do that. Immersiveness can be another one. Manipulation of your experiences can be another one, and I'm sure there will be forms of theater that will take on chemical forms, or a theater that is purely senses, that is stinking theater, or theater that is a drug, or theater that is a dance, that you dance yourself instead of watching somebody else dancing. But it might still be the criterion if it's good or not, if it captures your attention, and if it's challenging enough to keep your brain entertained for a while.
It seems to me that the way you make a work is similar to the way you're doing investigative journalism. As a journalism student in my college years, I'm kind of fascinated by this kind of angle, perspectives, and methodology. Would you agree with what I've just said? Are you using this kind of approach similar to an investigative journalism?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the same interest to talk about people that I think are worth to be heard, to bring the attention to places that you would normally not know about, which are in your city, but that are relevant maybe for political or personal or humanitarian reasons or whatever. The thing that has changed since the time I was working as a journalist is that the medium of the newspaper has been exchanged by always newly invented medias that can be more direct. I always found it very strange to be writing, to be having an interesting conversation with somebody whose life I thought was worth telling, but then in the process of telling the story, he wouldn't be there anymore, and in the moment that the reader would be following that story, he would be far off, and obviously I was much more free. I could just basically write whatever I wanted about that person, but it also felt alienated, yeah. And this is one of the chances, I guess, of documentary approaches in theater, that you can dedicate another time and another intensity and another immediacy, I think, to the thing. So instead of speaking about, in the best case, we let people speak for themselves
and let people experience by themselves, and of course perceive and judge by themselves.
Yeah.
And that puts us back to the second question about participation, which at this moment I still think this is one of the keywords of Rimini Protokoll's artwork.